Hello everyone. So this is all about the JCL programming. So this will be the first lecture of JCL programming. So in this lecture or in this session of JCL programming, we'll be starting from the basic, like what is job, what is JCL, and we will deep dive into each and every topic of JCL. And you will be wondering what is JCL. So if you are learning mainframe, JCL plays a very important role because JCL is the heart of mainframe system because most of the things are depend on JCL only. If you are working in any industry, JCL plays a very important role. And mainframe as well, if you want to run any program, JCL is important. So JCL is very important in mainframe technologies. And if you want to have a good knowledge of mainframe developer, as a mainframe developer and in mainframe technology, you need to have that JCL programming knowledge. So don't worry about that. I'll be there to teach you all about JCL programming, and I'll wish you everyone all the best. It will be a learning session. It will be a fun learning session to everyone. So we will start our first lecture. So firstly, let's talk about our organization. So our organization is programmers.io, and at our organization, we work with our client as we move toward the common goal, which is customer happiness. And our team is made up of experts who specialize in various programming language and mainframe utilities, including COBOL, REX, CICS, VSAM, JCL, DB2, PL1. Our IBM Z mainframe developer have extensive knowledge of a range of applications in different domains, such as logistics, telecommunication, ERP, banking, healthcare, and insurance industries. So whether it is support and maintenance or application development from scratch, our IBM Z development team has expertise to handle any challenge. So that is all about our organization. And this is the agenda of our first session. So we will start with the basic, which is what is job, what is JCL, what is JES. And after that, we will be going into the next topic, which is regarding the what is batch processing and how batch processing works. You most of the time you will be working batch processing, so we'll be giving some good example and simple example so that you can have the basic understanding of batch processing. And after that we'll be going into the process of how job is entered into the system, how a job is scheduled for the execution. And after that we can go for the next topic, which is how job is executed, how job is output is processed, and how job is purged. So this will be a first lecture, and I'll keep it simple. I'll try to keep it simple and short so that you can have the basic understanding of JCL job. And we will going forward, we will be deep diving into each and every topic so that you can have the good knowledge of JCL topics. So, okay, so let's go with the first slide, and it is all about JCL, job, and JES. So you will be wondering what is job, what is JCL, and what is JES. So talking about job, job is the execution of one or more related program in sequence. And each individual program executed in a job is called the job step. So if you want to talk about any job, jobs are composed of many programs and that are executed in the sequence. For example, the job is written to generate any report of any industry. Let take an example of the logistic industry. So we want to know the what are the purchase order or what are the orders that are cancelled in the last week, or we can have that weekly cycle of job. So first program will read the data from our table, and then it will write the data in another file, and after that it will be writing our data in the report file. So we are having three different programs which are executed in a sequence. So that is called the job. Job is the execution of one or more related program in a sequence. So it is a very good example in the industry. Whenever report is generated, so that report generation process, it's called the job, because we are having different program which are doing the different operation and we'll at the end we will get the desired output, which is our report. So that is what is job. And talking about JCL, JCL is the job control language. And it is a set of control statement that provide the specification necessary to process the job. For example, if you are working or if you are writing a job, you need to give some command as per the job. For example, you need to give the job statement, you need to give the exact statement, you need to give the DD statement. Also, you have to provide the which program you will be using, what is the input for that program, which file you will be using, what are the priorities of that job, which class it will be using, and what is the output and where that output will be written. Is it file or is it spool? So all that information we provide to the job is because of JCL only. That's why it is called job control language, because we are controlling our job by providing some input, by providing some language that it can complete its task or it can complete the process. So it is all about JCL, and the series of statement that makes up the job is often called a job stream. So you know the job, now you know the JCL, how they are related. And we also have another term which is JES, which is job entry subsystem. So we have written the job by using the JCL. So we need to have something that can process that our job so that we can get the desired report. So what is that subsystem or what is that system? So it is the job entry subsystem. It is used to process the job, and it keeps the track of job that are entered into the system. Because in the system or in the companies, when you are working in any industry, you are not having any one job. You will be having multiple jobs, and multiple jobs will be running at the same time as well. To keep the track of that job, we need a system, and that is all about job entry subsystem. And that present like what needs to be processed, what needs to be sent to this pool, and whatever the output or the result you will be getting, and that need to be passed to the correct destination. So all that process or all that management is done by JES, which is job entry subsystem. So firstly, we will have the job, which is the sequence of program that will be executed in a sequence. And after that, whatever we need to provide to the job is written by the JCL, which is job control language. So we need to provide the job statement, what are the job classes, priorities, what are the programs, what are the files and output file we need to provide. So we provide to the job by using the JCL, and the job will be going into the job entry subsystem, which will keep the track of all data and it will complete the task. So I hope the first slide is clear to you all. What is job, what is JCL, and what is job entry subsystem. We will go to the next slide. Okay, so this is an example of what is job and what are the JCL statement and how JES process the any particular job. So for example, these are the three basic JCL statement we have in any job. So in the coming lecture, we'll be deep diving into each and every topic of this JCL statement. So for now, just have an idea. So this is the job, which is the executing this program, which is RPT 300. And we have provided the job statement, like this is the owner of the job, and it will be having the notification of this. User will have the notification. So we have three statements. First one is the job statement, which provide the information that identifies the job. For example, this can be marked as a ID card of that job, where we'll be having all the information related to that particular job. And next we have the exact statement, which indicate the name of the program to be executed. So here we have written this program. So it will give the information of what are the programs that we need to execute to complete our process. And third statement is DD statement, which identifies a file to be processed by the program. So when you are working on any program, you need to provide DD statement that will be used by that program, whatever the files that will be using by that program. So we need to provide those files. So this is all about the JCL statement. So this is the job. And by using this JCL statement, we have completed our job. We have provided each and every statement that is required for that job to complete his process. So this is how job and JCL are related to each other. And talking about job entry subsystem, so this is the typical process of job entry subsystem, how that job entry subsystem, or you can call JES, process any job. So once we submit the job is selected for the execution, and after that the job is executed and job's output is processed, and after that the end goal is the job is purged. So as we submit the job, whatever the programs, whatever the operation that we need to provide, we have provided that, and job is selected for execution. We have completed the process, we receive our output. For example, we have received the desired report, and after that job is purged. So this is the basic example of what is job, how JE is processed, and this is the sample example of job and how JCL statements are written. I hope with the help of this example, the concept of job and the basic idea of what is JCL statement and how JE is processed is clear. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so the first question is, what is batch processing? So most of the time you will hear that batch processing is there, online processing is there. So in this JCL section, we'll be discussing about the batch processing only, because online processing is a different part, which is JCL part. So batch processing is the processing of transaction in a group or a batch, and no user interaction is required once the batch processing is underway. Batch processing is used to execute one or more program in a specified sequence with no further interaction by a user. Batch work is processed in a unit called job, and each job can contain one or more programs to be executed. Yes, I explained what is job, and the batch processing is the sequence of processing of transaction. For example, the very good example of batch processing is like you are having you will be having an account in any bank, and on weekly basis, I think on the monthly basis, we receive the bank statement from the bank, but we never requested any statement to the bank that I need a statement for that particular day. But the bank's process is written in a such a way that it is a batch processing. Every month you will be, or whatever the user having that account in that bank will be receiving the account statement that for particular month. So that is the monthly batch processing. So I hope the batch processing concept is clear, because there is no user interaction. The job is written, the input is provided, whatever the programs, whatever the files, and whatever the user ID that will be notified, we have provided all the information. So there is no interaction of that job with any user once the job processing start. And we have the scheduler, which can schedule the processing of the job. We can have the monthly job, we can have the weekly job, and also we have quarterly job, and also we have some day defined job as well. So the great example of batch processing, I can say, is the banking statement that we get on a monthly basis from our bank. So that is all about batch processing. And as I already explained, the JCL controls the job, and JCL describe a job by providing information that identifies the program to be executed and data to be processed. And system job scheduler control the execution of all jobs submitted for processing, deciding which job should be executed next based on the JSL specification and the system setting that I already mentioned, that we have a scheduler which control the execution of job based on some priority, based on some class, We have a scheduler that can define, okay, so this is the monthly job, this is the weekly job, and based on those priority or those tags, the scheduler will schedule that job and we will get our desired report. So I hope by giving the example of the banking monthly banking statement, you have the good idea about what is batch processing. The batch processing is all about processing the transaction in a group or batch, and there is no interaction with user or the minimal interaction with the user. Okay, so we will go to the next topic. Okay, so this is the typical example or the flow diagram of flow of batch processing. So let me give an example of same, like we have some three jobs and our banking statement is one of the example, which is job two. You can say that. So we have here three jobs. In the first job, we have two programs, program A, program B, and we have another job, which is job two, which is our job. You can say we'll be getting the banking statement from this job only. So we have program A, B, C, and this is the third job, which have the program A only. And this is the mainframe system. We have the job scheduler, and we have submitted all three jobs at the same time. Okay. So the job one will be doing some updates in the account, or job three doing some different types of report generation as well. So we have submitted all the three jobs in the scheduler at the same time. And we have set the priorities. For example, we have set the priority for job two as the first priority. And then after that, we can have the different priority, like job one will be having the highest priority as compared to the job three. So when we submit all three job, and job scheduler will decide which job needs to be executed firstly. So it is all basically based on the priority set by the JCL statement on that job. So in this case, job 2 have the highest priority. That's why scheduler pass that job to the CPU or the process to process, and all other jobs are held in a queue, so that after completion of job 1, we can pass the job 1 or 3 based on their priority. So I hope the basic idea about how the batch processing work is clear now. So all jobs have the priority, and based on that priority, job scheduler will decide which job needs to be processed at what time. Okay, so we will go to the next section. So till now, I hope JCL, what is JCL, what is job, how batch processing work, what is batch processing, each and every topic is clear now. Okay, so we will be having the batch processing, we'll be having the job. So the basic idea is to give the backend of the job, what happened in the backend for that particular job, how the processing of that job is happening. For example, the first is how a job is entered into the system. Let me give an example. Okay, so this is the job that I have written. So this is the job name, and this is the uh, ID card of my job, where I have provided some class, message class, the notification system ID, and this is the program that will be executed. Okay, so when I wanna submit the job, so the basic process of submitting job, or the start the process of any job, is to enter the submit or the sub command, so that the program or the job will get into the system. So let me try. So this is my job. I type here submit. Okay, so here you can see the job number is there, 00355, and my job is submitted. So so now the question comes, what is happening at the backend side when we submit the job? Okay, so when we enter the submit, it will go to the JES, and our JES will read the job stream from the DASD file and copy it to a job queue. As I already explained, we will be having a job queue, and based on that priority, the our scheduler will pass the job to the next uh, execution. And the job queue, which is a part of the special DSD file, it's called the JES pool. So we have submitted the file, which is our JCL file, and it goes to the JES system, and it will read whatever the information that is having, and it will copy it to the job control, and we'll start the processing. And this processing is same as when the card reader is used, and the JES component that processes the input job stream is called an internal reader. So when we submit the job, it goes to the JES. JES will read whatever the information that we have. It is having some priority, it is having some message class, and based on that part, it will go into the JES pool and will start the execution of that particular program. Okay, so we will go to the next topic, which is regarding the execution. So this is the first topic, which is the how job is entered into the system. It is very clear that we need to hit the submit button. When we get the notification that you have submitted the job, it will start its process. The next topic is how a job is scheduled for execution. That I already mentioned. We have some priorities set for all the jobs, and when you enter different jobs at the same time, so we need to, or the scheduler need to decide which job will be executing the first. So JES, which is job entry subsystem, examines the job in the job queue and prioritize the work, selecting the most important jobs to be executed first. And as I already mentioned, we'll be having some priorities to execute the job. And the job class and the priority are two characteristics that JES uses to classify jobs' importance. Both can be specified in a job's JCL, with the job class being the more important than job priority. Okay, so we have some priority, which is having some sequence where job class being more important than job priority. So we are having the job classes that will decide the priority, and each job class is represented by a single alphanumeric character and is assigned based on the processing characteristics of the job. So the message class or the job class, whatever we'll be providing, it is represented by some alphanumeric character. In the next slide, I'll be showing you that what are the characters we have and what are the significance of those characters, and the characteristics of the job, the class assignment is will vary from shop to shop. An initiator is a program that runs in the system region of an address space that is eligible for batch job processing. Each initiator can handle one job at a time, and the initiator examines the JES pool, select an appropriate job for execution, execute the job and its address space, and returns to JES pool for another job. As I already mentioned, we'll be having some priority. The first job is executed, it will pass, it will execute, and it will go to the next process, and it will go back and it will check for the next job which is available in the queue. And each initiator has one or more job classes associated with it and can execute jobs only from those classes. Within a job class, initiators select the jobs based on their priorities, executing higher priority job first. So whatever the job will be having highest priority, that will be going forward for the next execution. So you have entered the job, you have submitted the job. Our JES will read all the information and it will mark it in the queue. And when it entered into the queue, our next important parameter is the scheduler, which is schedule the job for the execution, and it will all based on the job class, message class, and priorities you have set for that particular job that decide which job will be executed at what time. So that is a very important like parameter when you are working in any industry. You need to decide whatever the class, message class, job class, or priority you will be having for any particular job. So that decide the sequence of execution. Okay, so I hope till now we have covered the how job is entered into the system, and after entering into the system, how the job is scheduled for the execution. Okay, now, yeah. So this is the example of job class assignment. So there are some typical job class assignment. As I already mentioned in the class side, job class is represented by single alphanumeric character. So this is the some example, and it can have a different meaning at different shops. For example, we have a job class A. So the job will execute within 15 minutes of submission. If we have the job class as B, the job will execute within the 30 minute of submission. So here you can have the different priorities. For example, you the job's priority is not immediate. You can mark it as a D. The job will execute in the overnight process. And if you have the highest priority, then we have the class A, which is job will execute within the 15 minutes of submission. So based on this job class parameter, you can manipulate your job's priority, because that is very important to select this job's priority, because in the industry you will be having lot of job executed in a single day. At the same time, you will be having lot of jobs to submit. Scheduler will decide the priority based on whatever the job class or the priority that you have set. So I hope this you will have the basic idea about the example of job class and the assignment. This is the first lecture. So I think we have covered the two topic, which is regarding how job is entered into the system and how job is scheduled for the execution. And the next is how job is executed. For example, when you have submitted the job is entered into the system, job is scheduled for the execution. And the next one is how job execution is done. Okay, so I have a very good example here. So by using that example, you will get the better idea how the job processing or the job execution works. So the first thing an initiator does after it select a job for the execution is invoke the program called interpreter. So here in the diagram, you can have this initiator, and initiator invokes this interpreter, and the interpreter's job is to examine the job information passed to it by the JES. So we have some information passed by using the JES. So that information will be read by the interpreters, and it will create the series of control blocks in the scheduler work area. So SWA, which is scheduler work area, a part of address space private area. Among other things, these control blocks describe all the data sets the job needs. So here in this diagram, you can see after the initiator select the job for the execution, it invokes the interpreter, which builds the required control block in the address space SWA. So after that, it will go to the next process. After the interpreter create the SWA control block, the initiator goes through three phases for each step in the job. First, it invokes the allocation routine that analyze SWA control blocks to see what resources. So you will be it will be checking what are the resources we have. So it will be having units, volumes, and data set. And the job step needs, so each and every job step needs some resources that we have provided in our job. So it will check for each job step. If the resources are available, they are allocated so the job step can process them. So in this diagram, you have the next part, which is the allocation part. So for each job step, the initiator invokes the allocation routine to allocate the unit volume and data set required for that job. So we have the interpreter that will read the information, and it will build the required control blocks. And after that, we have the allocation process, which will allocate the units, volumes, and the data set required for each job. And after that, the next process is the initiator builds a user region where the user program can execute, loads the program into the region, and transform control to it. as the user program execute is uses the control blocks for the resources allocated to it. When the program is completed, the initiator invokes the unallocation routine that releases any resources used by the job step. For example, after the resources are allocated, so we need to execute the program, because in our job step we have written some user defined program that will having some reading of file, updating of file, generating report. So after the job step resources have been allocated, the initiator create the user region loads and the user program into it, and it transform control to the user program. Okay, and after that, when our user program is executed, the next one is when the user program complete. So we have completed the execution of user program, but for that we have used some routines, and some we have used some space. So for that, once our program is complete, the initiator invokes an allocation routine to deallocate the resources used by the job step. So here we have the unallocation process, which will deallocate the resources used by each job step. And then if the job has more steps, the initiator repeat the allocation, execution, and unallocation process. So this is the process of one job step only, where interpreter read the job. After that, it will go to the allocation process, which will allocate the unit, volume, or data set required for that only single job step. And after that, it will go to the user program execution. Once the user program execution is completed, then it will unallocate or the deallocate resources used by that particular job step. And once the job step complete, and if we have another step, then the process will be executed for that next job step as well. So this is the process of job execution. We have the interpreter which will read the whatever the information we have written for the job. We have the allocation process which will allocate the unit, volume, data set required for that job. And after that, we will be executing whatever the user program we have. And after that, once our job or that particular step is executed, whatever the resources allocated to that particular step will be released, and the next step will be executed in the same manner. So this is how a process of job execution work. So we have covered till now, which is the job, how job is entered into the system. And after that, we go to the how job is scheduled for the execution. And after that, we have seen how job is executed. So I hope the first three processes are clear till now. How job is entered into the system, how scheduler decide which job needs to be executed, and after that, how job execution process is happening in backend. So the basic idea is to give the understanding of the backend, how the job execution process work, because most of the time we will be just submitting the job, we'll be just writing the JCL. But I want to give some extra knowledge to everyone so that you can have the understanding of whatever the process happening in the backend. So I hope we have covered till whatever topics we have covered till now are clear. So this was the first session. I keep it simple so that you can have some understanding of what is the basic understanding of job, JCL, and how the processes work. So I'll request everyone, whatever the things you have learned in this session, please go read your article, go through each and every topic, do your research so that you can have that extra knowledge of each and every topic. So that's it for my side for the first session. Thank you, everyone.